Okay, this is a little bit about space, how to use space, how to create space, different ways. The first one is size, so relative size. Larger objects appear closer than smaller objects. So I'm drawing a tree there, a large tree, and then a smaller tree that's further back, including the hill that's behind it, a bit of landscape. The second one is overlapping. So, and one thing that's in front of another thing appears closer to us because it's blocking our view of the other thing. So we've got a tree here and another tree that's about the same size that's behind it because one tree is in front of the other tree. Some of the stuff seems real obvious, but it takes a while to document it and think about it. Okay, vertical location or vertical placement is the next thing. And that's that the tree that's lower in our field of vision is going to appear closer than the tree that's more elevated. So things appear to rise as they head towards the horizon line. The fourth one it goes back to Da Vinci, and it's aerial perspective, also called atmospheric perspective, because it has to do with things fading into the distance in the atmosphere. So aerial perspective. And I'm doing a little drawing to illustrate the idea, but you really can't do it with a pen because you need to have paint or something that gets lighter as it goes back. There's different techniques that engravers use when they're doing etchers, when they're doing prints. But I'm not going to do that here. I just kind of indicated and sketched in a few clouds too. So darkening the foreground to kind of bring out and the aerial perspective in the background. And then the fifth one is linear perspective. And linear perspective has been with us for a long time, but it was formalized during the Renaissance. And it's based on the idea of 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point perspective. So 1 point perspective came first, by the way, in 2 point perspective. And 3 point perspective gets used a lot in cartooning, Stan Lee cartoons and things like that. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick drawing of 1 point and 2 point here. So here we go. So that dot is the vanishing point. You make a dot and then you draw these boxes, squares around it. Draw lines back to the dot and then stop the distance that they travel with a vertical and horizontal line, and you have boxes that are floating. And that line I just drew is the horizon line. So I'm going to draw a couple more boxes just to make it a little more interesting. I'm pointing out how the edge of that matches up with the vanishing point, so it doesn't really show too well. So these boxes are a little bit further away. Okay. All right. I missed it there. Missed the vanishing point. You can do that pretty easily. Then comes a 2 point. I'm starting with the 2 vanishing points, connecting them, drawing the edges of the boxes. The top box, getting a line to it. Another line to the other side. This one's going to the bottom box. Lines to both of those. Now that line I just drew is supposed to go to that vanishing point. That one goes to the vanishing point. This one goes to the vanishing point. That one goes straight up. Another one straight up. And I've got two floating cubes. This isn't a drawing class, but space is one of the elements of design and something that you can use all the time. So I decided to cover it. On the next page, we're going to do a little bit more drawing, kind of a little bit of 3-point. So 3-point has 3 vanishing points. Okay, and so I'm going to draw the bottom of the building first. I'm drawing a building. That's a horizon line. Here's the base it's going to sit on. Line goes up to the top vanishing point. Another one goes to the next vanishing point. Next vanishing point. That one goes up and cuts off the top. That cuts the other side. And you've got a 3-point perspective drawing. Looking up. And there's a lot of information available on drawing perspective drawings. You can go online and get all kinds of information. And there are demos, countless demos. So this is there's nothing here that's secret. You can draw all of this stuff, and you can find very talented artists drawing with perspective. So that are doing demonstrations and things. So if you get into drawing, you're going to want to understand perspective. So there's a 3-point perspective, looking up and looking down. Looking up is the worm's eye view, looking down is a bird's eye view. So now I'm drawing what's called the picture plane. It's the rectangle that I'm going to be doing the drawing in, the first drawing I'm going to do. And I'm going to label it, I think. No, yeah, okay, good. No, yeah, I did. Okay, there's picture plane. Okay. Yeah, there's too much background noise and everything when I was doing it, so I'm doing a voiceover. This is the horizon line. It's on the picture plane. And once I draw the horizon line, that's where all the lines are going to vanish if they're parallel. It's another thing you can find out on the internet. This is the ground plane. Okay, now I'm going to put another vanishing point. This is back in the distance by where the mountains are going to be. And so this is like driving, taking the train down a long track that's going straight away through the kind of desert. This is what the train tracks would look like in my cartoon world here if you look straight down at it. So, but we're going to draw it tilted. So we're going to make the edges of the train track go back to that vanishing point. I know a lot of you have probably drawn this before. If you had any drawing in school. And so things are going to the vanishing point. The tracks are getting closer together as they're further away. Okay, now I'm going to put the telephone poles in. So I'm going to draw another line. That's like the wire, the cable that's coming from the telephone poles. It goes straight back on the vanishing point. Straight back to the vanishing point. And now I'm putting in the telephone poles. And the last one could have gone off the page, and I probably should have had it go off the page just for demo purposes. I had to lengthen that one to get it to line up. I want the bottoms of them and the tops of them to line up to the vanishing point. Okay, and I think I'll put an extra one there. They get closer together as they get further back. Now I'm going to put the train station over here. It's completely out of scale with the rest of everything. The train that would come by the station would be 2 times taller than the train station. So, but for the purposes of this demo, you get the idea. Everything's going back to the vanishing point here. And there's the back edge of the structure, the station. The two, here I'm going to put a door in it. The two sides of the roof are parallel. Normally they would have a vanishing point too. So now I'm going to use that diminishing size idea. I'm drawing trees that get smaller as they go back in the picture. Things get smaller as they go back. Yeah. Okay. Yep. And so I put in, enough foliage and trees to kind of give the idea of, I don't know, some kind of landscape. Not quite desert. I've done this before where I used, cactus. And these are the hills in the distance. There's a mountain range back there. Well, maybe it's just hills, but a little aerial perspective with the mountain in the back, and then the clouds. Larger ones go up to the top of the picture, and they get smaller as they approach the horizon line. So now there could be a large cloud back there, and it could be a big storm. So clouds and trees and things don't always, natural forms don't always follow the rules when it comes to perspective. So I labeled everything, the 2 3-point perspective ones and the tracks. So that's kind of it. Shading in a few things, putting in some finishing touches. So you could create a scene like this. I'm going to do another demo where I paint a landscape. And I might even do a third one where I do an abstract with the collage material that we have. So the illusion of space doesn't have to be something realistic.